I would love to hear you channel. Would you please share a little bit about your channeling or bring a message forward that you feel could inspire anybody listening right now? Are you willing to do that?
Yes, actually, Jesus wants to come through.
Oh,
And, that's the thing is that he wants me to preference this story of him coming through as he is not the man on the pedestal. He is an energy that was meant to bring on change on this earth.
welcome to my podcast, Spiritual Quest, with me, your host, Vibeke Garnos, always guided by Spirit. I am very excited to share my gift with you and empower you to embrace your gift. So if you define yourself as a spiritual human being, then you've come to the right place. So prepare yourself now for an amazing journey where your soul will lead the way. Hello, and welcome to a new episode of the Spiritual Quest podcast. Today, we're exploring the many soul resources that become available when we open ourselves up to higher frequencies by lifting our vibrations, accepting who we are, and allowing our souls to lead the way. Today's guest has been awake since she entered this lifetime and has managed to activate her many soul gifts, which she generously shares with all of humanity. Natasha Venter is a gifted psychic and intuitive medium, and through her incredible connection to the spiritual realm and the Akashic Records, Natasha offers profound insights and acts as a bridge between worlds. As a channeler and animal communicator, she taps into the energy of all living beings. And whether it's communicating with animals, reading energies, or offering loving support during difficult times, Natasha's lifelong intuition and over 30 years of experience are here to support and empower humanity. And as a person who's been guided by Spirit for as long as I can remember, I'm super excited for this conversation. Two channelers coming together to help and support your spiritual quest. Wow, that's pretty powerful. So it's with great pleasure that I welcome Natasha Venter to the Spiritual Quest podcast. Welcome,
Well,
Natasha.
thank you so much. And I just realized what happened. My regular camera's not on. Isn't that Mercury in retrograde right now?
Yes, it is. It
Oh my
is.
gosh, I was wondering why I was so dark, because my regular camera on my computer is on, and it's like, oh my gosh, now how can I negotiate that? That's the story of life, is how can
Yeah.
we negotiate these things that are happening? And I don't know if there's a way that I can change it now that we're on live, but I'm just like, oh my gosh, because it asked for permission and I gave it permission, but it didn't
Okay,
turn on.
so
And I'm like,
no worries. You know what we're going to do? We are going to take a short break. Welcome back. I'm talking to, I'm going to say your name and I'm going to butcher it now. So now I have to rethink. I was
okay,
suddenly
so this
going Norwegian in my mind now, but I think it's called, you correct me if I'm wrong, okay? Natasha Venter.
Yes, and it's actually Russian and German.
Really?
So my married name is Venter. My maiden name is Mendenhall, and then Natasha is named after a Russian soccer player that my dad went out with before he met my mother. And so with that I actually was named after a Russian beautiful woman. And that my dad would say, but my mom liked that name in the 60s. It's like, how can we be? And so it was kind of interesting, the story of how, that I came forth in my bringing into me, because it's like I remember being born, I remember writing my contract coming in. I mean, I've had many lifetimes of just knowing my soul's awakenness and how to negotiate it, but then it's like this is the lifetime that I'm like, oh, I get to actually shine my light.
Oh, isn't that beautiful? Wow, I'm so curious now. It's like a Pandora's box. Where do we
I
start?
am.
I was
I
not
actually am.
where do we
I
start?
could be on like so many different. It doesn't matter what I talk about because I pull from here to speak of the knowings that I have. And the knowings are something that I'm dyslexic. I didn't read books. These are knowings that I came into this world with. My soul told me about, my higher self told me about, because I always believe that my higher self is like the brain of my soul, you know, and so it's kind of got the connections, and then it talks with my brain of the human body. And so then it's like we all kind of we came into this life going, holy crap, we're going to work as a team. How amazing is that? Nobody's going to say, oh, I can't do that. No, it's like, there's a new insight.
You know what? When you're speaking, I'm like, wow, we're so much similar stories. Because I
Yeah.
also remember coming into this world, having my spirit guide Zarius with me, and knowing and seeing and observing life and reading energy and not knowing why I
Mhm.
or what I was doing, to be honest. I was just being me. So I'm curious to listen to your story from you were a kid. How did you discover? I mean, you were awake, but you said something about it. You said you come from a long line when we were talking before we
Mhm.
recorded, that you came from a long line of intuitive people. Would you please share your upbringing, and did you know that you had these gifts, or did you become aware of them as you got
I
older?
I always knew that I had something about me. I didn't have the language necessarily. My dad was very intuitive. He really talked about his intuitiveness. My grandfather passed away in our basement because my mom and dad bought the house from my great grandmother. And so, with that, I always felt like his spirit was down there. There was also other spirits in the house. If I went downstairs to go to the bathroom, all I always heard was psh, 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 and then I would see things. And then there was a guy that would come around the corner and just peer, he'd peer in on me. And it was like, of course, my parents sent me to Catholic school because it was the closest one in the area. And so I grew up saying Hail Marys and Our Fathers. You know how many I said in my childhood just for protection, right? Because it was something I didn't have the tools, and my dad and mom didn't really know that spirit was coming around the corner until somebody else said, well, yeah, there's so and so in the house. And that's what my daughter's been talking about her whole life. And I always felt like I had a friend, and his name was Peter growing up. And Peter just kind of walked with me. I always felt him walking along the street. I didn't live on a street with very many people or kids. I was pretty much the only kid for many years. And then there's somebody who moved in that was 5 years younger than me. So I always kind of was walking and doing things by myself. And being an only child and being dyslexic, I didn't read. I tuned in. And so here's Peter walking with me, telling me things, sharing me things. And well, later, about when I was about in my 20s, I found out he was St. Peter, and it's
Mm.
like, no wonder I couldn't steal. No wonder every time I went to pick up something and walk away with it, I'd hear, no, that's not the best choice. And I'd put it down. Okay. And it's like there's these things that would happen to me. But if I would have known he was St. Peter all along, he wouldn't have been my best friend. I would have put him on a pedestal. I would have so this is the way my team has worked with me is that they come in as, and then they share with me who they are so that we can become more engaged together without putting up on a pedestal. Because religions always put our guides and our spirit and angels and Mother Mary and Jesus up on the pedestal. They're up on the front of the church, and they're up on the windows, the 7 day, the crosses and all. It's like they're always putting us in this story of it's separate from us. But actually, my guide Peter, he was always on my shoulder, always on this side, walking with me,
Is
giving
that
me
your left
guidance.
side? I have to ask you because
Yeah,
yeah, it is.
it's actually my right side.
It is, yeah, it's okay. I mean, looking at
Cameras
you,
are
watching, I'm
weird.
like, yeah, because I have my spirit guide, which when he first communicated with me, I knew him as Gabriel,
Mm,
Archangel.
mm,
I didn't know that before I was older, but I had gotten the name Gabriel, so that's what I called him. And not until later on, where I had a lifetime with him, where his name on Atlantis was Zarius, and I decided that was closer to me because I had a lifetime with him, and it was easier for me to relate to that. And he beautifully explained that he was part of the archangels, which means we are
Mhm.
all one, right? But kind of a resource from that angel helping me to evolve, if you wish. And so it was just funny how you discovered that it was Saint Peter, and I was like, oh, that was like, okay, so he's my Zarius now. But okay, so you noticed that your play friend or your friend who would watch over you and
Mhm.
tell you what to do or not to do.
And I
So
wasn't one that stole a lot either. I mean, I always had this knowing of the hierarchy of, and I don't wanna call it hierarchy, but there's the universal laws that you
yes,
do. You don't harm each other, you don't do things wrong with the universe, you care for the people around you. So I followed the universal laws, not, and I did honor the human laws. Don't speed, stop at the stoplights, those types of things. But there's something about following the universal laws. And so even when I was young, I knew that there was universal laws to follow, not just the human laws to follow. And so I was always kind. Now, I didn't always go to bed on time because I was a night person and I didn't really want to go to bed, but that was pretty much the only thing I did kind of on the wrongish side, of life. And it was kind of interesting to know those things and feel guided in them, not hurt by them or snubbed by them, but just guided by them.
yeah. So how did you actually get to discover or remember or whatever you want, what word you want to use, that what your gifts were? Like how did that unfold?
Okay, so I've always known I've been a spiritual counselor. Before my mom passed away and my dad passed away, people would come to me and just have counsel with me. Hey Natasha, can you give me your perspective? And so I always knew that I was a counselor, and I was wondering if I should become a counselor in my humanness, as my profession. But then it's like being dyslexic, and I couldn't even read in high school. If it wasn't for Louis L'Amour, I wouldn't know how to read, because if I couldn't picture myself riding on a horse, that's the only way that I could learn to read, was to image it. And I know that a lot of dyslexics are intuitive. It
You
gives
have
us
one
some,
here.
yeah,
I'm
but it gives
dyslexic.
us, but it's like in high school they told me, we're not even try to teach you another language because you don't have the English language. And I'm sitting here going now saying, yeah, but I can speak through the all the star beings. I understand their language. I understand the language of animals. So I speak all the other languages that are not necessarily in the human form. you know?
Amazing.
So so how do we negotiate that? And it's like, for us who kind of own into who we are truly to be, it's amazing the gifts that we have, but a lot of us aren't taught to walk through that door of fear and stuff, and to get to the other side of what and who we are meant to be. And I'm grateful that I had my parents who gave me a safe place. I was safe in my home, but I wasn't safe outside my home. I was bullied, shy, quiet. People can't believe I was shy. I didn't want to say a word, but it took my parents passing away before the universe said, go to Doreen Virtue's. She's not doing the spiritual work anymore, but go to Doreen Virtue over in Hawaii and take her practitioner course and get yourself going, because you need to own into being a voice for us.
Mm,
And so there again is when I went from a very big introvert to more of a loving extrovert to be who I am to be today. And it's been a journey. It's never a straight line. And I
no,
wouldn't want it to be a straight line.
that's pretty powerful what you just shared. Because looking back at my upbringing, one thing that I know that was very important for me to be able to find my voice and to trust in my own abilities was a safe space at home, and not
Mhm.
feeling comfortable. I would call it comfortable. I was uncomfortable outside my house. And I would also speak to spirit and have all my, um, I guess, contacts come to me as I was sitting in my room. And I loved spending time drawing, painting, whatever,
Mhm.
writing in my room. And just that was my safe space. And I think without that safe haven for me, I probably wouldn't have been comfortable doing this work at this time. I probably wouldn't have not gone
Hmm.
down this path. So I just think it's honoring our parents, just saying
Hmm.
that, giving us that safe space. And I know not a lot of people have that safe space,
No.
but I just want to honor us and our parents that they actually have given us that opportunity.
Hmm.
So I just want to, yeah,
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
can feel your father.
He's
Yes, I
he's
can actually.
very, yeah. He's very him and I, I always picture soul families as rings of a tree, and my dad were like the center of the ring of a
Oh,
tree.
I see.
And we've spent many lifetimes together. He's been my guide now.
Yeah. He's your
He's been
protector. Yeah.
He's my protector.
Oh, yeah.
He's my cohort. He's very gentle about how he stays with me because he doesn't want to pull me down energetically.
Yes.
He wants me to be me. He wants me to be who I am. He's always been a free, get excited, be who you are, do what you need to
Yeah.
do. He was a chiropractor. We went back to actually him be a chiropractor. He was very dyslexic himself to when I was 3 years old. So I grew up with living in a chiropractic home, and it was applied kinesiology. So it's muscle testing. It was energy. It's like my dad always knew the body was a computer. How can we attune the computer to its better and highest good? And so I grew up in energy, knowing energy, being with energy. And my dad was very powerful that way. He was a healer himself in many rights. And sadly he passed away when he was 50. Both my parents passed away when they're 56, 57 years old. And so it
That's,
was like, how do we survive this negotiation of who we are, and doing the work and doing our love, and doing who we are. And it's about being ourselves, and growing, and going past what our story is, that troublesome, grief. Oh my gosh, grief. Hallelujah for grief, because it cracks us open like an egg
oh,
and
yeah.
says, here, it's time to be vulnerable, and it's time for us to be who we are. And if it wasn't for the grief I went through with my parents, I wouldn't be who I am today, doing the work and finding that I didn't know what love was until I looked at my toe going, oh, I love you, little toe. Thank you for being you are. Thank you for being my balancer. Then I look at my second toe, my little toe, the ring finger of the toes. Oh, thank you for being the partner in crime with my little toe here, and balancing, because I didn't know how to love after my parents
Yeah.
left, and I found out how love was. And actually, every time that I touched a part of my body to love it, more of the divine came in. And I always had divine love. But I've always been a channeler, but until I tried to channel, I couldn't channel. If I tried to channel, I couldn't channel. But if I just let it happen, it would. And there again is when I found that love through finding the love for my body. It was that kind of that coming together to be who it is. And there's when divine love came in to say, here, you're connecting.
Mm,
And like my angel that I work with, Azrael, he says, you've seen the other side of death, haven't you?
mm.
And that's
Wow,
divine love.
it is.
That is divine love.
So when you're touching on the topic of channeling, because I'm very curious to hear how you said something about it, but when did you start? When did you feel called to start sharing through channeling?
I think I've channeled even when I was a little one, a very little one, I would channel. And sometimes it was channeling my own soul. And looking back on it, because of the fact that, like, I have a remembrance of being in the crib and, looking up, my head coming up and then seeing my mom's face. But I remember seeing the ceiling of the downstairs where I slept when I was a baby, and all that. So I know that I was looking through my soul's eyes.
Mm,
And I have that memory, even as at 5, I had that knowing this was my soul's eyes that was seeing, not my human eyes. And so with that I know I channeled freely for many, many, many years until I tried to channel. Like I said, going through class, and I went to a mentor not to necessarily know things or find out things, but to remember. And
Yes.
so as I was remembering how to channel, I'm like going, but I can't. Why? Where are you guys? And they're like going, it's called take your foot off the gas pedal and let it be.
Get out of the way.
Get out of the way. And I have not practiced enough being a step out all the way channel. I have a form of, I like to have a little bit of control of my body, and I trust my team. I trust my universe. Otherwise, I wouldn't channel, but I don't trust fully. I've been sabotaged too many times in past lives that in this lifetime, I really wanted to own up to who I am in this body. I'm not saying that I won't ever give over all the way, but there's a part of me that still wants to have a piece of connection in this body. If that makes any sense.
Yes, it makes complete
So,
sense because yeah, because again, I'm my perspective of channeling is like it took me 5 years from my spirit guide asked me to step aside to allow myself to channel. And I didn't grow up in a spiritual family. My mother did go to a healer once and brought me, and while I was there, I activated a previous lifetime, but it was just natural because I always had it, so I didn't think any of it. But when I was getting older and I was asked to channel, I was like, no, that's weird. And I would look and I didn't know what that really entailed until something happened. I had a meeting with the Dark Night of the Soul, of course. And in that moment of surrendering and coming back and getting myself up and running again, it took me quite a bit and I was very vulnerable. And I said, okay, I know and understand why this happened to me. I could hear my
mhm,
soul speak to me. I understand and I know that I have to embrace my gifts. It's time. I've been pushing it away because I closed the door as a kid, or I was a teenager when I started to close the door because I wasn't normal anymore and people would laugh at me and make fun of me. So
mhm. I hear you.
I just kept my mouth shut and kept it inside. And that's also why I enjoyed spending time by myself. But when I actually gave my spirit guide, this is so funny. I said, okay, I'll listen, but I have a request. Or actually, it was more like a demand, to be honest. I was like, okay, I'll do it, but this is the condition. I have no clue what it is. I have no clue if I'm really spiritual, or what gifts I have. I've not taken a course. I haven't read a book about spirituality, just past life because I've activated that within myself. And I said, okay, that's great. I will listen and start to channel. Do whatever you want me to do if you get me on the TV show in Norway called The Sixth Sense. And that is people who's clairvoyant, whatever, they come together and there's a competition and you have to use your abilities. And I said, it's no way I'm going to end up there. No way, because I have no. I was like, okay, whatever. And I applied. And of course, what do you think happened? I went through all the tests. I have no clue what I was doing. I was walking into a room that said, here's 3 people, tell me about them. Here's the ring, tell me what you perceive. And I was like, okay, what, I was just doing. I had no clue. I was just speaking,
Uh-huh.
sharing. And of course, I ended up on the show. I was the first one, though, to leave the show. And then I said, well, the ego. I was like, that was quick. And he goes, well, you didn't ask to go further. You asked me to get on the show. You should be more clear in what you ask for. I was like,
What's for? Damn it!
and so, but then he said,
Ain't that a
now,
lesson? Isn't that a lesson, though?
yeah.
Isn't that a lesson? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
so I just have to say that's what I said. He said, well, now it's your turn. Channel. And I remember sitting in the chair and I had this, I was preparing myself and I still have this clear memory. I was me sitting in my red chair in my old house and I would feel him step into my energy field. It was always on my left side. And my right side, I have a very strong masculine side, very controlling side. And I would feel him push and kind of soften coming in and push. And I would feel myself like holding on, and he would just be calm and he would just be there. And I would, until I was almost as tired, I was like, okay, I can't fight anymore. I have to get out of the way. And as soon as I
Yes.
said that, I was gone. So I'm a trance medium. So I go, I have to step aside, or my ego mind or my masculine mind will interfere. So I've trained, and I think that maybe because I was trained as a hypnotherapist as well, and Life Between
Hmm.
Live hypnotherapist by the Michael Newton Institute. So I know how to go deep. So I've done kind of that meditation and that practice. But wow, when I did that and he came forward, wow, that was that. And I had listened to it when I came back, and I couldn't remember anything. And that was 15
Yes.
years ago. But now I actually have evolved, right? So I used to take 20 minutes in trance before I was ready to channel. I'm not kidding. I had people sit and wait for 20 minutes before I started to channel when I started.
Wow.
And then when I channeled, right? But then when I got out of there, I was like, I was so drained. I was, because I wasn't physically comfortable. And then I
Hmm.
practiced. And then 15 years later, now it's like, okay, here they come. Bye. Oh, and then you know, isn't it fun how, I mean, we can talk about it like, like any other thing that you talk about in the real world.
Yes.
And it's so powerful now in these times. So I think that when I was guided to connect with you, it was my spiritual team that was
Yes.
telling me that this is the person that you need to connect with. There are so much power and energy in that love that you two can create together. And that's why this conversation is all over the place, but still, it is such a profound and loving way. And I told you this when before we got on, I had my sacred space open, and I was filled with love. I told you this when you called in. I was like, did you send your team? I was like so loved. And when your father stepped forward when we were talking, that and you said he's subtle, he'll leave, he's allowing me to do my thing. And he stepped forward just to recognize I felt that love. Seriously, I felt I'm getting goosebumps. He's recognizing it. I appreciate you. I honor you. That was amazing. And thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry. I
I
took
want to.
all
I
over.
want.
I just
No, 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 no. I want to cry because I don't get witnessed very often. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. I have had my mentor used to say, Natasha, your team goes ahead of you and scouts out what you're going to be doing before you get there. So don't ever worry about where you're going because they're not going to lead you into a place where you're not safe because they scout it out for you. Oh, sorry, my eyes are watering here.
Yeah.
They, it's that moment where it's like I never doubt I'm. I always know I'm safe.
Yes.
When I came into this world, I came in empowered, not powerful, not about standing on a pedestal. It's not about ego. Yes, ego does step in sometimes, especially in the morning when before I'm awake, and and my intuitiveness is talking, and my ego says, "Oh, by the way, I can say that for you," and I'm going, yeah, but at the same time though, I'm learning to bring that all back because of the fact that, my team, because they are so in alignment with me, if you're thinking about a football field, right? Or any field, that there's the 50-yard mark, there's the center of the field. Well, I am meant to walk on the 40. I can't walk on the 49, the 48, or the 47-yard mark, or the 51, the 52, or the 50. I have to stay on the 50. I can maybe put one foot on the 49 or the 51, but then it's like my team goes,
I know.
and I'm like going. So with that there's this story of my team and I are so in sync together. And my girlfriend was saying you need to spend more time getting prepared, and I'm like going for whatever you're doing, and I'm like going, but I'm always guided to say what I'm supposed to say. And
Yes.
I trust that. And that's what I tell people who are struggling with finding their intuitiveness, because we're all intuitive. But they say, boy, you trust. And you give it to them. So even though I may not step out of, going back to the conversation of channeling, I may not step out all the way, but at the same time, I'm in sync with them. I allow them to say what they want to say. I'm just here to witness it because there's probably a message in it for me too. I'm kind of stingy that way, type of thing. So it is, but I do enjoy channeling. I do enjoy being. I do, any session I do is a form of channeling anyways, because
It
I'm
is.
so in sync. Like right now, I'm in sync with what I'm supposed to say. Natasha's standing on the side kind of going, what the heck are we talking about here? Because, she knows that there's a part of me that knows what to do. And all of us step into that turning of the it's like a rotation. Well, what part of Natasha is going to speak right now? Because this is the part. Is it the star being that's going to speak? Because that's what they know about the Matrix. Or is this going to be about the Fae? And the Fae steps, it's like we all work as a team to
Yeah.
be who we are. And, there's been times where it's like, thank you. Because, I work in an elementary school in the mornings. The universe put me back into elementary school so I learned to read again, to learn how to say the vowels, how to do the work. And so I've been there for the last 20 years. And there's a transition happening now with all that story. But going into it, that I was sitting in front of 6 kids. One or all of them were some form of ADHD. Most of them were boys' hyperactivity. One was ADHD, and then the other one had a demon attached. And
Ooh,
this
yeah.
demon was not a good demon. And I was teaching fractions. Fractions are not my friend. I do not like fractions. I don't understand fractions. So as I'm sitting here, letting part of me entertain the ADHD, I asked my angel to take care of the demon, and then I knew I had to keep the one that was kind of ADHD entertained. And so I was back here talking, doing my thing, just letting everything happen. I came out with the right answer in the end. I was like,
Wonderful,
hallelujah.
huh?
Ain't that a story of how that when we let go of control
Yeah.
and we let these parts of us know what to do, that things happen.
Yes.
And right now there's a part of me that wants to do something, and it's not very professional, but I want to change my camera around to sit in another chair so that I get enlightened, and I'm being told to do it. Do you mind if I do this?
No, that would be wonderful. We are with you. We're doing our
So
organic
there's
flow.
something about
Yeah.
changing my world around. Ah,
There we go.
bunch of cords here and stuff like that. Here we go. There we go. Because there's about getting a different perspective. And,
Yes.
there's this dance of who we are and what we're doing that we're afraid to get a different perspective. We're afraid of getting a different perspective. And, and that's something that my team, sorry, I have to change a chord here. That's the one thing that my team always says to me: get a different perspective if you need
Yes.
to. Get enlightened in a different way. Change the lighting around you. Change the story of who you are. And so, and I'm about metaphors. I'm about metaphors. And, what did the universe tell me to do? Change things around. Show people that in Mercury in retrograde, these planets are in retrograde right now. Change your perspective so that you can get a different vision. So now you guys are looking at my altar that is basically all universal here. Angels, Mother Mary, Samedi Baron, the world, because I want to bring love to the world. It's
Yeah, I
like,
have one too. A glass world over there.
so with that, how do you negotiate the world around you? You have to be open to get a different perspective.
Yes,
Doesn't mean you
yes.
change your truth, but it's about getting a different perspective. So channeling, going back to channeling again. We're all channelers of some form, right? We're
Mm,
all channelers in different form. The thing is, though, what are we going to do about it? And it's that
yeah.
trust, it's that knowing, it's that being, you know? and following the guidance. Like, hey, your mic is on the other side of the table. Bring it forward so people can hear you a little better.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
follow the guidance. Follow the
Yeah.
guidance.
And that is why I created the Spiritual Quest podcast. It is to allow people to understand it is a quest and it's all about perspectives. And that's why I love talking to other channelers, other spiritual teachers, healers, mentors, you name it, coaches. It's because we all need perspectives. And my spirit guides always say, or Zarius told me once, that on a soul's journey, we are all one. In spirit, we are all
Mhm.
alike. And in knowing this, there is no discrimination. And for me, with the ego and growing up the way I did, I've been struggling of not being judgmental towards myself and knowing that I'm a mirror for that. I've judged other people, other channelers. I did
Mhm.
that in the beginning. I was like, I'm not going to be one of them. I'm not going to be one of them. And then I had to go and find out, what are the beliefs that are keeping me separate from who I am. And
Mhm.
it's all low vibration frequencies. And I've been through the shadow and I've walked out of it and I walked into the shadow again and walked out of it. And I just want to say that it doesn't matter who you are, what you do. We are on a journey. It's all about us embracing our divine power, our truth, the universal truth. And my
Mhm.
spiritual team said, you are all channels of love. And to embody that love, you must first find self love.
Yes.
And
I.e.,
so,
liking your pinky toe.
yeah, you're right.
I.e., liking your loving, saying thank you for being who you are, toe. You have to find love for yourself.
It is so true. So true. So, what is your core message when you channel? Is it divine love? If you were gonna, what are you bringing through your gift to help and support humanity, like on the big
Well,
picture?
well, being one that I've been intuitive many lifetimes, like I tell people, if I haven't done it in this lifetime, I've done it in others, so why should I judge?
Mm,
Right?
yes.
And so with that, then it's bringing that kindness. It's the love. It's the story. But understanding that being human is just as important in this lifetime, and negotiating your inner story, your inner emotions, your inner core callings. At the same time, understanding that we're spiritual beings. And so my core message is basically, how can we be spiritual beings in a human quest and being a human in the spiritual quest, all in the same breath, all in the same moment? And when we are on a quest of finding ourselves, I've had so many sessions lately that have said, I'm reaching out for what I'm supposed to do. And I said, come back to you.
Mm.
Come back to you. Because your spiritual quest starts when you are in the middle of a deep conversation with your husband. And how are you spiritual in that moment? How are you spiritual when you're driving to work in the morning? How is your energy when you touch the door to your office? You know, it's about being who we are and owning it. So if you are emotional when you're touching the door to your office, how can you find that emotion and say, okay, I understand, sadness, that you are really being potent right here, but I'm going to have to be professional today. So what am I going to do? We are going to talk when I get out of the office, okay? Can you just let me get through the day? And I promise to talk to you, sadness, when I get out.
Yeah.
Or let me go to the bathroom at least when you need to
Yeah.
say something to me. You know what I mean? So interacting with those parts of us, and I always treat my emotions like they're my best friend. You
Oh,
know,
I love
what
that.
can we
Yeah.
what can we do? Okay, grief. Oh God, you really gotta let me get through the intersection because I gotta see if the light is green or red. Okay, grief. Can we just get to the other side? Okay,
Yeah.
and then you drive to the other side, and then it's like, whoa, but it's okay. It's
Yeah.
okay to be. And if you've seen in this video, I've been perfectly imperfect, right? I've had scenarios that Mercury's been really playing with me today. It's just been my lighting is off, my camera is off. I feel like I'm sitting in the dark compared to what you are. It's like, but then it's not about a comparison.
No.
But at the same time, though, who did I let that stop me from being me? So I know that's a long story to my core message, but it is that engagement of, because it's not a simple sentence,
No.
because our life is a journey. So my core message is I'm here to be whoever it is that sits in front of me, even if that means sitting here quietly witnessing something. I had a session yesterday that I felt bad charging her because she just needed to be witnessed.
Yes.
She was another light worker who was light when she was little. Matter of fact, she turned on her own light so she can walk in the dark forest.
Hmm.
She needed to be witnessed.
That's powerful. And it's so true. And you're talking about, to me, I'm hearing the embodiment of all that you are and loving all that you are, to embody both the human aspect of who you are, your personality, and your flaws, if you wish to look at it in that perspective. But like my team said, there are never any mistakes to be done. You
There
do what you
isn't.
need to learn what you need to learn, and to love what is needed to love.
Exactly, and that's why I think that I was born again dyslexic. I have an understanding that my soul has a signature of dyslexia, that it tends to be dyslexic. And I had somebody on my show who he's pretty well known, and he said to me that, well, souls aren't imperfect, so you're never dyslexic.
Hmm.
And I'm like going, but isn't that perfection? Because that dyslexia is making me more who I am.
You're right. I had the
And
same question from a client a couple of days ago. We were talking about multiple personalities, and it was fascinating to see how she chose to have these to awaken her in her weirdness, if you wish. I don't mean weird in a bad way. I just, a lack of better words. Just reminding
yes,
people I'm
yes.
Norwegian. I am Norwegian. I'm trying to find the words, but not in her quirkiness. Maybe that's a better word. She said she was comfortable, but she was uncomfortable when she felt they were low vibrational, when they would sabotage her and other people. And so seeing what she learned from that and taking responsibility is actually when her light shines the most, when she comes out of it, what she
Mhm.
is reflecting and learning, and how she's embracing that. So these episodes are not as frequent anymore, because she's doing the work as she's returning to herself, the one she is at that moment, seeing what those other entities are gifting her, and sharing the love with them and thanking that part. They lose their power over her.
Mhm.
And so she's breaking free from that, and she's choosing, it's easier for her to choose her light in every meeting or every situation where she can easily choose the other path, because she's so used to calling herself, well, she's gotten a diagnosis, but we've decided that's not her. So she's releasing herself
Yeah.
from that. But still, I just think it's so powerful, this discussion that we're having, that as we are looking to understand our journeys as a soul having human experience with all the lifetime you're sharing, and sometimes we remembrance, and I had a really bad past life prior to this one, and I've been working, surprisingly enough, nope, is like people coming to me that where I have
Sorry, I
karma.
gotta laugh.
Yeah, I was like, it was like, you have to deal with this because you are now in debt energy wise. You have to, because you were responsible for some bad things happening in the previous lifetime, was during World War II.
Hmm.
Um, and I,
I'm
some
asking
of,
for healing on this for you, by the way. I'm
thank
really
you
asking for
so
divine.
much. Thank you.
Yeah,
So
and I
I
use that
appreciate
mantra.
that.
I use that mantra. I'm asking for divine healing on this for many things when it's out of my control, it's out of my knowings. When I am a part of the dance of this, that I need some wisdom in it so that I can just take my foot off the gas pedal and say, okay, what am I supposed to do here? I'm asking for divine healing on this.
Oh, I love that. And yes, and I must admit, this is something I now look at as a gift. I've met so many wonderful people who remembers through their past life me. Never thought that would happen, but yeah. So I've shown up
Well,
as, and they've,
especially probably living in the region that you live in, because a lot of our souls stay in the same regions a lot of time when we go from one lifetime to another. And, it's like, oh my gosh, what a way to heal is by having it be in
yeah.
your
So
face.
yeah, and I walk next to them, and it's like we've had some issues. Not, do not put that on me in this lifetime. I've had to have some really strong, loving
Yeah.
boundaries.
Hmm.
Yeah, but this has been such a blessing to go through, and I can see the gift in that. And that's the thing. It's like even though I'm sure there's part of me still healing, I'm so not affected by it. I remember when I opened that box of understanding that and that came forward, it tore my walls down. I had trouble sleeping, eating. It was really,
Hmm.
really difficult to wrap my head around because, and then I understood I shouldn't wrap my hand around it. I was gonna, yeah. But it's a process, right? So you go through
Yeah,
it, kind of, you
exactly.
freak out, and it's just a human experience of it. And so that's why I think going through this spiritual quest, the order told me to name it that because I'm on a quest. This whole life journey for me is being who I am, being authentic, transparent. That is why I've chosen to be on TV. I've done several TV shows where I am myself, reality shows as well, because I need to be the example. I feel like I have to be authentic. I'm going to speak this truth. I have to allow myself to shine.
Hmm.
And I did get death threats handwritten death threats in my or not even email. It's in my normal snail mail is what we call it these days. So I know how it is to be working energy wise, seeing how we project energy, right? And so
Yes.
having the opportunity to sit down and speak with you where it's all about the high vibration love, guidance, and sharing that divine love to humanity, I feel like we're connecting on for me a high level, a 5D level where we're just in that love, but we're still able to be human and reflect on our human journeys and ground that, you know?
Mhm.
I think that's so beautiful. And what is your opinion? Now I have a question for you. I'm rambling. This is what
That's
happens when
okay.
you meet people like you really resonate with. This is what
I
happens,
know.
guys.
It's like, where does the conversation not go?
Yeah. But what do you think about, the new earth topic? Like, why are we here and where are we going as because we're awakening and look at what's happening with us. Like 15 years ago when I started the channel, everybody pointed at me like, do not talk about that. No, I'm not interested. Now they're like, what did you do again? They're
Mhm.
opening up. So what do you think?
Well, understanding that we are in a matrix, we are in assimilation, we are in all these things that are happening around us. That when I have a guide who's part of this council of eight that is part of the solar system governing. And he says that the whole solar system is doing an upgrade. And it's not
Interesting.
just our solar system, it's the solar systems throughout the universes that are here. Um, and when we're talking about is there a matrix and a simulation, really, it doesn't matter because I'm here right now in the moment having a beyond gifted conversation, with you. And that's ultimately what's important is even though this is going on, what is our spiritual quest going forward, right? What is the enlightening? So with that I understand we are, but we are as strong as our weakest team link. And I understand that we all line up as souls to be on this planet because this earth, there are other earths. This earth is unique in its own dance that we do. So with that we have the uniqueness of our emotions, our perceptions, our humanness, I'm going to call it, our egos, our belief systems, the religions that we held, all those different aspects that are unique to this earth that engage us to be who we are. And I have an understanding that we've been on this quest on this earth for since the caveman. We have an opportunity right now with the insights that we have, with the understandings that we have these people, there has been people who have multi personality scenarios for many centuries, many lifetimes, right? But there's something different about how the perception is right now. And I'm going to go back to what I witness with a lot of people who have multi personality disorders, as it's called, or whatever, they have different emotions that pop in, that they're actually free channels without boundaries. And I'm going to
Mm.
they've gone through so much trauma that they had to do something to get somebody, one of their guides, to pop in, to guide them, to help them, for lack of a better word, or a part of them that was from a past life, or they called in a part of them that is in the dimensional, because how many different dimensions are we having the same conversation, right?
Oh, yeah.
So then one of them pop in
Mm.
to help them survive what they're going through. So there's a lot of ands in this conversation. So with that this is, like I said, my perception of what I've witnessed for a lot of people is I'm like sitting here going, oh, they changed their personality. Huh, I wonder why.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
like I knew somebody who channeled Loki, and I said, oh, that's Coyote in Native American.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm.
and so with that it's who, what, where, when, and it's having discernment. I live by that word, discernment.
Yes.
That is my if you want to say how do you live your life, I say discernment. It keeps me on that 50-yard mark, you
Yeah.
know and I stretch and pull that word up and down, inside out, for me and for others. And so the spiritual quest, to answer your question, we're not done yet. Yes, we're on a faster track than we were through the different centuries, right? We're on a faster track. We are having better incitement because the star beings are more involved with us in a different way. You know, they they were with us, but then we decided to have too much ego, and so that kind of scenarioized that. And so the Earth had to come back through another layer again. Actually, I really believe that we were doing certain things in England at the same time that there were certain bubbled communities that were doing their work, but then going on at the same time that we had horse-drawn carriages, we had these governing places that had a bubble around them that were going using crystals and different things like that. I just got that image.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes, I
That
know what you
everything.
mean. I come from I have Soul Resource, which the order calls Tresninens. It's from the planet of Tresna, which is in the Triangulum galaxy, and
Mm-hmm.
they call it the sister planet of Mother Earth. And within that place, what you're describing is what it's what they say is kind of the perfect world. It's like a masterpiece of what Mother Earth can be because we've already
Mm-hmm.
been with that energy, and the energy that's projecting from that planet through the transcendence is the power of hope. So the purity, the pure hope vibration is being
Mhm.
gifted through all the star seeds, or what they call
Mhm.
torchbearers that are walking around on the planet, that is working with the collective and are carrying certain soul resources, which I call it. It's just, I've given that word because it's easier to explain sometimes than
I hear
transcendence.
you.
It's like soul resources. Yeah. And so now we're having this discussion where I know we're discussing on a very high frequency, but I still believe there's a lot of people listening and it will resonate somehow with a universal truth. Like when you get these images, I think a lot of us do get similar images, like through our
Yes.
perspectives, right? And
Mhm.
from what are we're remembering or what we're carrying within our soul resources. So I don't know how you look at, this, the new earth, because there's a lot of perspectives on what does a new earth look like. Some people say we're here already, we just have to wake up to it. What is your understanding of what a new earth is?
And I don't disagree with that. We already are. We just have a lot of humanness attached
Yes.
to it. We have a lot of our stories attached. We have a lot of our parents' stories. I have a session that I do for people going back and healing the DNA, the human DNA, as well as past life DNA. And I bring people back and do both of them at the same time. I'm the conductor of both, and I bring things forward and ask for healing on this and do the magic of that if the person believes that it can be healed. There
You're
again,
right.
if the
Mm.
person believes that it can be healed, I can do all the work. They have to be able to believe. You know, my team does the work with me. We together come up and bring insights, but then the human has to be willing to move forward. And that is what's slowing us down, is our human stories. And I have an understanding, and I've witnessed a lot of people on a spiritual awakening, trying to find their path, trying to find their wisdom. And but they're not willing to negotiate a different language with their stories.
Mm.
And this is the way that I look at it, is like if you're looking at a side of a cliff, you can either go down into the story and stay into the hurt, the pain, or you can go up into the wisdom. This is what it was here to teach me. This is why I went through it. This is how I'm supposed to arise through it. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, my naysayer. Yeah, keeping me on the righter path. It makes sure that I know my truth. What are we going for? If we can go up the hill, then we're going into the knowings, our greater calling. But if we stay down in our story, go down into the valley, go down into the mist, the ick, the floods, the drama, the trauma, the whatever the valleys are, there's certain valleys that are beautiful, right? But there's something about going down
Yeah. You
into
can't see
the,
that far. You see the
you
trees
know,
around
you,
you. Yeah.
exactly. You don't get the bigger vision.
Yeah.
Go start going up. It's okay to have your stories. I've been molested. I've been bullied. I've been shamed and guilted, and I'm working on my lungs right now because I hold some resentments. I hold grief. I hold, a lot of those things myself. But what am I going to do about it? I'm
Mm.
going to love myself in spite of it. I'm going to heal myself in spite of my naysayers saying, why are you taking that path? Because it feels right to me, and that's what matters. I don't care if it's a placebo effect. It's making me feel better. I'm going to do it.
Mm. You're
You know,
right.
and that's what we got to get down to is that yes, I'm not doing something that is like really off the scales. I mean, it's basically going to a chiropractor, right? And doing vitamins. So I'm
Yeah.
not necessarily, but somebody who's very much into going to the hospital, going to doctors, I'm doing something that is in a total different language, right? But it works with this vibration, my body. And my body is the vessel of this lifetime. And many of us forget that our bodies are the vessels of this lifetime. It's
Yes.
our starship. how do we treat some
Love
of
it.
us treat our cars better than our own physical starship,
Yeah. So true.
you know? And
Yeah.
so how do we do that? How do we do that? It's about finding out that, oh, I'm holding this cookie that's made in a facility, or I'm holding, I don't want to say a salad, but something, oh, my homemade apple crisp compared to a cookie that's made into a facility. Which one would be better for me to eat?
Mm.
You know, take a look at where your food comes from. Who is your food? In America here, we're having a lot of problems with our food.
Mm.
No comment?
We're not gonna even go there because that topic is so huge and so big that I'm thinking I'm staying away from that right now.
Yes, I
It's
know
like
we're on a limited time here, right?
yeah,
You
but
know,
I'll bring you back and we'll have another candid conversation about different things because I love this conversation. So if you want to come back, you're very much
I
welcome
want
to
to
do
enjoy it.
so.
The only thing we got to work on is a time zone for
Yeah, that's
Cashier.
the thing. Yeah, yeah. We'll figure it out. But before we end this conversation, I would love to hear you channel. Would you please share a little bit about your channeling or bring a message forward that you feel could inspire anybody listening right now? Are you willing to do that?
Yes, actually, Jesus wants to come through.
Oh,
And that's the thing is that he wants me to preference this story of him coming through as he is not the man on the pedestal. He is an energy that was meant to bring on change on this earth, to uplift the change. He's saying, I'll channel, but he wants me to preference this. He says that, remember, I am you. I am me. We are us. Okay, here I go. Dear children of mine, oh, the pain and the hurt of the human that you are is so, so, so heavy. Remember, though, that my children, that no matter where you're at and where you're going, as this dear one said, go forth in who you are, and know that no matter who and what you are, that there is blessings in the midst. My team, the Fae, the fairies, the star beings of this planet, they are here to help you. They are sending animals your way. They are sending animals to communicate to you because they know that you are needing. So remember that when you do have a bird that flies over you, be with it. Fly with it if you need to. Let it take you away. Because as your mind likes to keep you in your stories, don't ever stay there. The mind is a part of the mind, the heart, and your gut. Be in your body with your body and let it be, because of the fact that as you are going and as you live, this is who you are to be. Your light. Shine your light, not your story. Shine your light, my children. Blessed be to you. I'm asking for healing for you, with you, as you journey in your story. So be it. Blessed be.
so be it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you for that beautiful, beautiful message to all of us. That's a
Yes.
perfect,
Thank,
perfect.
thank you for letting me present that. I'm forever grateful.
Well,
I am so forever grateful for this moment. This will be with me for a very long time.
me too. It's beautiful connecting soul to soul, and I do really, really appreciate, Natasha, what you do for humanity, what you do for all life, and yeah, it's beautiful. I'm kind of lost for words right now because I'm just in that beautiful energy. And that's
Mhm.
good sometimes, just to be in
It
that
is.
stillness of the beautiful. Yeah. But I need to end this. So I just want to say thank you again. And if you want to learn more about Natasha and her amazing work, then you'll find her contact information in the episode description. But before I leave, I want to bring up another thing that I think is really, really a gift to everyone listening. If you want to keep exploring your soul's journey as a multidimensional being and ascend into higher realms of consciousness, where you can allow the guidance of spirit, then I invite you to join the Spiritual Quest live stream masterclasses. Some of my favorite podcast guests are now sharing their knowledge, wisdom, and insights, yeah, on their topics and sharing valuable resources in support of your spiritual quest. And all you have to do is sign up for the Spiritual Quest newsflash and you'll be notified when we go live, and it's free. And you'll find the link in the episode description. And of course, if you enjoy this heartwarming conversation I just had with Natasha, then please leave a review in your favorite podcast app. That would truly make my heart bubble with joy. So thank you again, Natasha, and thank you everyone
Thank
for
you.
watching. And I guess we'll both send them much love and light from your
Blessed be
host.
to all. Blessed be to all. Blessings on your journey.
Thank you so much, everyone. See you next time. Bye now.
Bye now.